are going to build. Build, baby, build.
So that is the introduction for our housing series. We're calling it Built to Last. Can Canada build its way out of the housing crisis? And today we're talking about the topic of foreign investment in the housing market. Last week, the Prime Minister received dueling advice on the topic in 2 open letters. In one of them, from a group of 27 academics and housing researchers, they wrote, "Do not reintroduce foreign capital or investor demand to reflate prices artificially. The current market correction presents an opportunity, not a threat. Do not use public funds to bail out over-leverage speculative developments." Okay, so that was a part of the quote from that letter. And with us today is retired UBC geographer David Ley, one of the signatories to that letter. He's done extensive research on the topic of foreign investment in housing markets around the world, including Vancouver. David Ley, good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon.
Thank you for joining us. Meanwhile, another letter signed by a group of 25 developers and builders urged the opposite to the Prime Minister, to lift restrictions on foreign investment because the finances don't make sense. I'll read you part of that letter. "We understand that the ban was implemented to protect housing supply for Canadians. It has unfortunately impacted the construction of new homes as an unintended consequence." Okay, Cressey Development Group, that was one of the signatories in that letter. Hani Lammam is Executive Vice President of Cressey Development Group, and he's with us today. A very good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, Gloria.
Okay, so we're approaching this whole issue as a bit of a debate. So David Ley, back to you. Why do you think the government should not lift restrictions on foreign investment in Canada?
Well, thank you for the question. I think we need to look at recent history, that this model is a model that has not got the housing market where we really want it to be. We pursued the idea of foreign capital floating the market extensively after Expo. A great deal of capital came in, part of it with the business immigration program, which was a kind of a golden visa program, people with a great deal of capital. It was estimated by a banker at the time that about $40 billion of available capital came in with this population. And the intent of the program, the business immigration program, was that they would generate all manner of economic development. But in fact, much of the capital went into residential real estate. And this significant inflow just floated the market higher. And since around 1990, up to around 2017, when we had another boom, we see that foreign capital has really contributed significantly to the land market we have now, which really makes it very difficult for developers like Cressey or indeed any others to produce affordable housing.
Okay, well, let's put
housing that we really want.
Well, we will come back to you, David, but let's put that to Cressey right now and Hani Lammam. Why do you think the government should lift restrictions on foreign investment, Hani?
Well, I want to be clear as to what the ask actually is. What we are asking for is for the government to allow foreign investment in new housing. And that is because new housing development is extremely challenging and very capital intensive. The type of projects that we as an industry have to undertake in Vancouver and its neighboring suburbs is predominantly high rise, and that's kind of where development has gone. And these projects have become so large and so complex, and that they require a large amount of capital, and they take so long to construct. So it takes us, 4 to 5 years from the start of construction to actually complete construction of a tower. And to ask an end user to pre-purchase a unit for 5 years from today is a bit unreasonable because they don't know where they're going to be in their lives. So historically, what we have been able to do is we've succeeded in attracting investment from investors as opposed to end users. And some of those have been foreign investors for sure. And we need that pool of investors to be as large as possible in order to be able to take on these large, very complex projects that we're facing.
Okay, back to you, David Ley. New housing only to allow foreign capital and new housing only. Does that change your mind at all?
No, I don't think that's very different from the pattern we've seen up till now, where developers, as we just heard, need these investors to launch their projects. So that's more of the same, is what is being asked for. I think the point that I would want to emphasize is that the same has got us to where we are now. And it's a model that has simply created a huge amount of unaffordability. And the bottom line I have pressed for years now is that we need really to keep our eyes on providing housing that is affordable to people who live here. And the land value uplift which accompanies investment of the type we're hearing simply does not permit that. Whether it's condos or rental, the market is priced too high for local incomes to be able to afford.
Hani, what do you say to that? How can you build housing that is affordable to people who live here?
Yeah, so first of all, I'm going to say that the value of housing is very much tied to the desirability of our city, and that's why real estate is so expensive here. And then I would also say that even if you were to give me free land, I cannot, under the current regulatory environment, produce housing units that are affordable by any measure. The codes and the bylaws and the regulations that we have to live with make it so that it is just unaffordable. Again, with free land, I cannot build a condo that costs me less than $1,100 a square foot, and I think David would agree that that is unaffordable to local incomes.
Okay, so just continue along that line for us, Hani. Then when we hear the government saying they want to have more housing for Canadians, affordable housing for Canadians, you're saying, yes, but we need foreign buyers to get those projects off the ground. What is left for Canadians then in these projects in terms of affordable places to live?
Yeah, so the new housing stock is not going to be the affordable housing stock. The older housing stock will have to be the affordable stock that is that steps in to meet that demand, and we need new housing stock in order to free up the older, more affordable housing for local incomes.
I see. And Hani, what before I get back to David, what would you say has been the impact of the current restrictions on your company, on Cressey, and on other developers?
Well, I mean, I would say that we as an organization we have not started a high-rise construction project in over 3 years. We have kind of shied away from that form of development altogether. We are focused more on low-rise and townhouse construction nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
And I think our peers, I've encountered, the ones who have taken on these high-rise projects have encountered difficulties, as you've seen in the media recently.
Right. Well, I mean, I'm looking at what the government has done. David, in 2017, the BC government implemented a 20% tax on foreign buyers for residential real estate. They added speculation and vacancy taxes. Just in 2023, the federal government implemented a temporary ban on non-Canadians buying residential properties in major urban centres and surrounding areas. That was already extended once. That apparently ends in 2027, but that's what we're talking about. The developers want to see that dropped. Now, David, as an academic, have you seen impacts from both the provincial foreign buyers tax and the current federal temporary ban on foreign ownership?
Well, certainly, I think the whole package of what we might call demand management that was introduced started in 2017 at the end of the provincial Liberal government, and then picked up and extended by the NDP in 2018. I think there's no doubt that that has had an impact. And I mean, that's why the request has come from this consortium of developers to remove these barriers because they have indeed impeded capital from entering Canada, which we feel, and clearly the government felt, was inflationary, affecting a property market that was already overheated. Let me just pick up, if I may, Gloria, one thing that was just mentioned by Hani, and his comment that it's old property that is affordable and new property is not. And that is precisely our point, that the new property, the new developments that they wish to construct are not affordable. And the issue is here that it removes the demolition of the old properties which are affordable. And a point I would really want to make is that it is critical to preserve older, affordable properties and not demolish them and replace them with new properties that are unaffordable. And I don't think there's a disagreement between us in seeing that old is affordable and new is unaffordable.
Hani, what do you make of that?
Yeah, I think we just agreed. So that's positive.
No, but the
Yeah,
fact that
yes.
the older properties are coming down to make
Yeah, well,
way
I mean,
for the
I
newer
think
buildings.
obviously there are options to retain or or accommodate former tenants with with a bunch of there are a bunch of relocation options and tenant protection policies that are in place to accommodate older tenants. So those are in place by the various municipalities, and the industry has been trying to live with those and accommodate those.
I see. Well, Hani, where does your company stand then? If we don't see the province or the federal government lifting restrictions on foreign investment?
I think what's going to happen is that we're going to see a slowdown in construction. And if supply is part of the solution and we need the private sector to be engaged in providing that supply, then we have to incentivize the private sector to participate in that. And the only way to do that is for real estate development to be attractive to capital, which means we have to be able to make money at it. And if we can't make money at it, and if we can't produce it and have a buyer for it, then we can't build it.
Right.
So we have to do what we can to make the product as affordable as possible and make it as attractive for investment, because at the end of the day, it is an investment. It is even for the end user, it is the biggest buying decision they will make in their lives, and to think that they're going to do that without having an investment mindset is not realistic.
Hani, how hopeful are you, or how optimistic, rather, are you that the restrictions will be lifted? Because I've got a quote here from the Premier, David Ley. He responded to the letter that you signed. He says, if foreign capital can help build housing for Canadians, great. But if the foreign capital is just housing that's going to sit empty in the middle of downtown Vancouver, like the Curve building, well, forget about it. That model is dead. What do you make of that?
Well, that Curve building will never get built as it is, so we don't have to worry about that one. The reality is I appreciate that there have been some empty housing units that were built, but those are very few, and those numbers are so inflated. It's a poor investment to buy a condo and let it sit empty. So I don't believe that is the investment mindset of most investors. So it's either gets rented or it gets resold into the marketplace.
David Ley, do you think there is any middle ground here on the topic of foreign investment?
Well, I think it's clear from what I've said that my position is really, and the argument I'd want to present is that it is not capital that I want to accommodate as much as people. I quite literally want people to be accommodated in affordable housing. And our history here is that when we have opened up the market to foreign capital, Land price inflation is what has happened, and that is where we are today. So I can't see why we would want to return to a model which has failed local people. And I think it is local people that I would want to see really prioritized in this discussion.